Hi, first graders. It's time to do a few more chapters of Charlotte's Web. If you remember, the last chapter was called The Hour of Triumph. And in that chapter, first of all, I think that's a really great name for the chapter because everybody, all the major characters and even some of the minor characters sort of triumphed, right? Charlotte was able to save Wilbur, so she triumphed. Wilbur was saved, he triumphed. And even the minor characters, Mr. and Mrs. Zuckerman, felt really good about things. Mr. and Mrs. Arable felt really good about what their daughter had done in their minds with Wilbur. So it was really just a wonderful title, The Hour of Triumph. Sort of like how I felt today during our Zoom meeting when you all were sharing your stories with each other and talking about what you felt most proud of. That's really an hour of triumph as well. Okay? So the next chapter, chapter 21, is called Last Day. Charlotte and Wilbur were alone. The families had gone to look for Fern. Templeton was asleep. Wilbur lay resting after the excitement and the strain of the ceremony. His medal still hung from his neck. By looking out of the corner of his eye, he could see it. "Charlotte, why are you so quiet?" "I like to sit still. I've always been rather quiet." "Yes, but you seem especially so today. Do you feel all right, Charlotte?" "Well, I'm a little tired, perhaps, but I feel peaceful. Your success in the ring this morning was to some small degree my success. Your future is assured. You will live secure and safe, Wilbur. Nothing can harm you now. These autumn days will shorten and grow cold. The leaves will shake loose from the trees and fall. Christmas will come and the snows of winter. You will live to enjoy the beauty of the frozen world, for you mean a great deal to Zuckerman, and he will not harm you, ever. Winter will pass, the days will lengthen, the ice will melt into the pasture pond. The song sparrow will return and sing. The frogs will awake. The warm wind will blow again. All these sights and sounds and smells will be yours to enjoy, Wilbur, this lovely world, these precious days." Charlotte stopped. A moment later, a tear came to Wilbur's eye. "Oh, Charlotte, to think that when I first met you, I thought you were cruel and bloodthirsty." When he recovered from his emotion, he spoke again. Charlotte, why did you do all this for me? I don't deserve it. I've never done anything for you." "You have been my friend," replied Charlotte. "That in itself is a tremendous thing. I wove my webs for you because I liked you. After all, what's a life? We're born, we live a little while, and then die. A spider's life can't help being something of a mess with all this trapping and eating flies. By helping you, perhaps, I was trying to lift up my life a trifle. Heaven knows any life can stand a little bit of that." "Well, I'm no good at making speeches. I haven't got your gift for words, Charlotte, but you have saved me, and I would gladly give my life for you. I really would." "I'm sure you would, and I thank you for your generous sentiments." "Charlotte, we're all going home today. The fair is almost over. Won't it be wonderful to be back home in the barn cellar again with the sheep and the geese? Aren't you anxious to get home?" For a moment, Charlotte said nothing. Then she spoke in a voice so low, Wilbur could hardly hear her words. "I will not be going back to the barn." "Not going back? Charlotte, what are you talking about?" "I'm done for. In a day or two, I'll be dead. I haven't got enough strength just to climb down into the crate. I doubt if I have enough silk in my spinnerets to lower me to the ground." Well, hearing this, Wilbur threw himself down in an agony of pain and sorrow. Great sobs racked his body. He heaved and he grunted with desolation. "Charlotte! Charlotte! My true friend!" "Come now, don't make a scene, Wilbur. Be quiet. Stop thrashing about." "But I can't stand it. I won't leave you here alone to die, Charlotte. If you're going to stay here, I shall stay too." "Don't be ridiculous. You can't stay here. Zuckerman and Lurvy and John Arable and the others will be back any minute now, and they'll shove you into that crate, and away you'll go. Besides, it wouldn't make any sense for you to stay here. There would be no one to feed you. Fairgrounds will soon be emptied and deserted." Wilbur was in a panic. He raced around and around the pen, and suddenly he had an idea. He thought of the egg sack and the 514 little spiders that would hatch in the spring, and if Charlotte herself was unable to go home to the barn, at least he must take her children along. Wilbur rushed to the front of the pen. He put his front feet up on the top of the board, and he gazed around. In the distance, he could see the Arables and the Zuckermans approaching. He knew he would have to act quickly. "Where's Templeton?" he demanded. "He's in that corner, under the straw, asleep," said Charlotte. Well, Wilbur rushed over, pushed his strong snout under the rat. He just tossed him into the air. "Templeton!" he screamed. "Pay attention! Templeton!" Imagine how he's feeling right now, right? Whew. The rat, surprised out of a deep and sleep sound, he looked first dazed and disgusted. "What kind of monkey shine is this? Can't a rat catch a wink of sleep without being rudely popped into the air?" Listen to me. Charlotte is very ill. She only has a short time to live. She cannot accompany us home because of her condition. Therefore, it is absolutely necessary that I take her egg sack with me. But I can't reach it, Templeton, and I can't climb. You are the only one who can reach it. There's not a second to be lost. The people are coming. They'll be here in no time. Please, Templeton. Climb up and get the egg sack, please." The rat just yawned. He straightened his whiskers, and he looked up at that egg sack. So it's old Templeton to the rescue again, is it? Templeton do this. Templeton do that. Templeton, run down to the dump and get me a magazine clipping. Templeton, please lend me a piece of string so I can spin a web. Oh, hurry up, Templeton. But the rat was in no hurry. He began imitating Wilbur's voice. "So it's hurry up, Templeton, is it? Ho, ho. And what thanks do I ever get for these services? I would like to know. Never a kind word for old Templeton, only abuse and wisecracks and side remarks. Never a kind word for a rat. Templeton! Templeton! If you don't stop talking now and get busy, all will be lost, and I will die. I will simply die of a broken heart. Please climb up, Templeton, please. Templeton lay back in the straw. Lazily, he placed his forepaws behind his head and crossed his knees in an attitude of complete relaxation. It sort of looked like this. Imagine how Wilbur feels right now. He's rushing around wanting Templeton to hurry. He's anxious. He's feeling scared. And Templeton is making fun of Wilbur. Die of a broken heart? How touching. My, I notice it's always me who you come to when you're in trouble, but I've never heard anyone's heart beaten on my account. Oh, no, who cares anything about old Templeton? Get up, screamed Wilbur. Stop acting like a spoiled child. Templeton grinned and lay still, not moving. Who made the trip after trip to the dump? Well, it was old Templeton. Who saved Charlotte's life by scaring that arable boy away with the rotten goose egg. Bless my soul, I believe it was old Templeton. And who put your tail and got you back on your feet this morning after you had fainted in front of the crowd? Old Templeton. Has it ever occurred to you that I'm sick of running errands and doing favors? What do you think I am anyway, a rat of all work? Wilbur was feeling desperate at this time. The people were coming. They were close. And the rat was failing him. Suddenly, he remembered Templeton's fondness for food. Templeton, I will make you a solemn promise. If you get Charlotte's egg sack for me right now, I will let you eat first, right? When Lurvy slaps me, I will let you have your choice of everything in the trough, and I won't touch a single thing until you're done. You mean that? Yes, I promise, across my heart. All right. It's a deal, said Templeton. He walked to the wall and started to climb. His stomach was still swollen from last night's gorge. That means his big old eating. There he is. Look at that. Look how big his belly is. He's climbing up. There's the egg sack. Groaning and complaining, he pulled himself slowly to the ceiling. He crept along right till he reached the egg sack that I just showed you. Charlotte moved aside for him. I forgot to point out where Charlotte is. Do you see her? She's right there. Well, that's Charlotte, but I don't see where the egg sack. Oh, there's the egg sack in his mouth. That is Charlotte. There's the egg sack. He pulled himself up to the ceiling. He crept along. Charlotte moved aside for him. She was dying. But she still had just enough strength to move a little. Templeton bared his long, ugly teeth, and he began snipping the threads that fastened the sack to the ceiling. Wilbur watched from below. Use extreme care. I don't want a single one of those eggs harmed. This stuff thick in my mouth. It's worse than caramel candy, complained the rat. But Tippleton worked away at the job, and he managed to cut the sack adrift and carry it to the ground, where he dropped it in front of Wilbur. Wilbur heaved a great sigh of relief. Oh, thank you, Templeton. I will never forget this as long as I live. Neither will I. I feel as though I've eaten a spool of thread. Well, home we go. Tippleton crept into the crate and buried himself in the straw. He got out of sight just in time. Lurvy and John Arable and Mr. Zuckerman came along in that moment, followed by Mrs. Arable and Mrs. Zuckerman and Avery and Fern. Wilbur had already decided how he would carry the egg sack. There was only one way possible. He carefully took the little bundle in his mouth and put it on top of his tongue. He remembered what Charlotte had told him, that the sack was waterproof and strong. It felt funny on his tongue, and it made him sort of drool a little bit. And of course he couldn't say anything. But as he was being shoved into the crate, he looked up at Charlotte, and he gave her a wink. She knew that he was saying goodbye in the only way that he could. And she knew that her children were safe. Goodbye, she whispered. Then she summoned all her strength, and she waved one of her front legs at him. She never moved again. The next day, as the Ferris wheel was being taken apart and the racehorses were being loaded into vans and entertainers were packing up their belongings and driving away in their trailers, Charlotte died. The fairgrounds were soon deserted. The sheds and the buildings were empty and forlorn. The infield was littered with bottles and trash. Nobody of the hundreds of people that had visited the fair knew that a gray spider had played the most important part of all. No one was with her when she died.